Hello everyone. My name is Emma Wagemaker. I am a communications and events coordinator for the City of Lawrence Parks, Recreation, and Culture Department. And I have three of my colleagues here with me as well who are going to introduce themselves too. So, Abby, start us off.
Hi, I'm Abby Bushwilder. Some of you know me, and I'm sure you know Emma too from previous shows. And Emma and I are kind of a two-person set of communications and special events coordinators.
And I'm Roger Steinbrock. I'm Communications and Events Manager, overseeing the operation.
And I'm Porter Arneal, an Assistant Director here at Parks, Recreation, and Culture, and oversee this great team.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. So thank you all for joining us today for this presentation. We're really excited to share some updates with you all. And as you'll notice throughout this presentation, we are moving to use the term artisan fairs to describe what we have formerly been calling our craft shows. So you'll see that switch throughout this presentation. Today we're going to be discussing many different aspects of our artisan fairs, which we know will bring questions. But like I mentioned a couple minutes ago, we're kindly asking that all questions be saved until our built-in question time at the end, just so we can make it through the entire presentation. It might be helpful for you to write down your questions as we go so that you don't forget them. And you can also pop them in the chat and we will check the chat at the end as well. All right. So this presentation aims to inform you all about important details and changes that are being made this year. So we will be covering our 2025 Artisan Fairs details, our commitment to enhancing the Artisan Fair experience for our vendors and customers, what's new with our application process and highlights of our new rules and regulations policy document. And then we will show a video tutorial of how to apply and select your preferred booth if accepted. And finally, we will have a time to answer as many questions as we can. If for any reason you need to leave in the middle of the presentation or there are portions that you miss, don't worry because we are recording this presentation. And after this, we will send the recording out to all of you that are here today, along with some helpful links and the link to our website and things like that. This presentation will also be made available on our special events page, so you will have it for as long as you need it. So first, Abby is going to kick it off for us talking about our 2025 Artisan Fairs.
Yeah. So we wanted to start off by sharing some important details with you regarding our events for this year. All of the information for our events is posted on our special events page, and following this presentation, we will share these slides with you and a link to our website with you via email. So new this year, each event application will open 7 weeks before the event date, with the exception of the Holiday Extravaganza application, which opens 17 weeks prior to the event date, just due to high application volume. Applications will close 1 week before each event. We have transitioned to opening the applications one at a time rather than all at once, so that we can focus on making application decisions for one event at a time and get vendors approved and confirmed for each event in a timely manner. We have a new application and booth selection process this year, which we will share more about later in this presentation. And we have also developed a new policy document that outlines all rules and regulations pertaining to our artisan fairs. We have created this document to help clarify the expectations for all of our artisan fairs and vendors who will be responsible for understanding and adhering to the rules and regulations outlined in the policy. Now we'll get into the specific details for each of the shows and the application timelines. All of this information is available on our website as of the start of this presentation. Our first show of the year is on May 3rd, and that's the Spring Artisan Fair at Holcomb Park Recreation Center from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. The application for the Spring Artisan Fair opens on March 14th and will close on April 28th. On July 3rd, as part of our Summerfest celebration, we will have an artisan fair at the Douglas County Fairgrounds in Building 21 from 3 to 8 p.m. The application for this event will open on May 14th and will close on June 26th. The Autumn Harvest Festival is on September 28th in South Park from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. And the application opens on August 8th and closes September 22nd. Finally, the Holiday Extravaganza will be on December 6th at Sports Pavilion Lawrence from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. Due to the volume of applications that we received for this event, the application for this event will also open on August 8th, but will close on December 1st. We will be using graphics like these, like we have in the past on social media and on our website, so they'll be easily identifiable. We also want to note that for the past couple of years, we've been having issues with scammers commenting on our social media posts and event pages about having tickets or booths for sale at these events. So we just want to remind you guys to all please be aware of that. And the only place you can purchase a booth space at any of our events is you have to be approved. You have to have an approved application that was completed through our system or linked from an official city webpage. It is important that you save your receipt of purchase by printing it or taking a screenshot of the document and bringing it with you to check in to confirm you have a valid space. If you reserve a booth space through a scammer or a third party, unfortunately, we will not be able to provide you with a booth space on the day of the event. We will never ask for payment or personal information through social media platforms or through third-party payment apps such as Cash App, PayPal, Venmo, or other platforms. You can always reach out to us to clarify whether or not something is real. And before we dive in to further details, we really wanted to give some background on the reasoning for many of these updates to how the Artisan Fairs will run. Our main goal in making these updates is to enhance the Artisan Fair experience for you and for the customers who attend these events. So why do we host Artisan Fairs? Our main reason is to showcase products and artisans that are unique in their craft and to provide the community and beyond a space to shop small and engage with those business owners. The city focuses on 5 outcome areas as part of our strategic plan. As the Parks, Recreation, and Culture Department, our goal is to uphold and celebrate Lawrence's unmistakable identity, which guides our efforts to enhance our events. The descriptor for the unmistakable identity outcome area states that Lawrence is a welcoming community synonymous with arts, diverse culture, fun, and a quintessential downtown. City parks and community events contribute to the vibrancy experienced by all people in Lawrence. Our Artisan Fairs play a vital role in offering our community opportunities to experience diverse forms of art and culture while showcasing the talents of a variety of artisans. Our outcome areas are why we are in the business to do what we do, but we use our key performance indicators or KPIs to help us evaluate how we are maintaining our unmistakable identity. Within our KPIs, we have 6 commitment areas that guide us, which are community engagement, efficient and effective processes, equity and inclusion, sound fiscal stewardship, engaged and empowered teams, and environmental sustainability. For the sake of this presentation, I'm not going to read each one of these, but we have highlighted the KPIs that are most influencing the updates we have made to our Artisan Fairs. Based on feedback from you, our incredible vendors, past event attendees, and our internal team, we've taken a closer look at how our Artisan Fairs can better reflect our unmistakable identity KPIs. A key focus that we have identified based on feedback is curating a more intentional selection of products for each event. We want to showcase a diverse range of artisans, whether they are from various cultural backgrounds, committed to sustainable practices, and/or offering unique items you just won't find anywhere else. This approach helps us to celebrate the rich cultures within our community and enhance our commitment to creating a space where all attendees, whether residents or visitors, feel connected to a welcoming and inclusive community. This led us to identify a more refined list of categories that we are looking to include in our shows. On the new application, you will find the following categories to choose from: baked, canned, dried goods, bath and body, candles, ceramics and pottery, children's items, fiber arts like crochet, knitting, quilting, etc., food trucks and concessionaires, glass, hand lettering and handmade paper items, home goods and decor, jewelry, kitchen and drinkware, knickknacks and gifts, other food, painting and drawing, pets, items for pets, photography, printmaking, sculptures, and woodworking. We realize that many of you have products that fit into multiple categories, so you should just choose the category that best describes the majority of your products. You can always choose the other option if your products don't fit well into any of the categories. And staff may reach out to clarify your product category with you if you select other or if we have any questions.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you, Abby. So now it's time to dive into our new application process and policy documents. All right, so this is an overview of what the application process looks like. First, we ask that every applicant takes time to read over our rules and regulations to understand what we're looking for. You will be asked to acknowledge that you have read and reviewed our rules and regulations during the application submission process. Please note that there is a $10 non-refundable application fee for each event. And this rules and regulations document will be posted on our website after this presentation and available for you all to review and linked in many places along the way. So be sure and review that. Applications for each event will open 7 weeks before the event date, as previously mentioned. Each event has its own application that you must fully complete and submit for consideration. The administrative review team will review applications in the order received on a rolling basis and not all at once. Vendors will be notified of their application status as soon as possible. If your application is approved, you will be emailed next steps for choosing your booth space. And then the fourth step is that you should choose your booth space as soon as possible, as spaces are first come, first served and not held for any reason. After choosing your booth space and fully checking out, you should save a copy of your receipt to bring with you to the show and keep an eye on your email for event updates about 2 weeks out from each event. All right. So we've made some changes to what items are available for rent or use during our events. Notably, the biggest change is that tables are no longer offered for rent or use at any of our events, and vendors are responsible for bringing their own tables to use for their display. We also do not have transportation carts, tents, covers, display structures, electrical cords, and chairs available for use or rent, and all of those items must be brought by vendors for use as well. We do still have electricity access available at our events. Booths with access to electricity will incur an additional $10 charge, which will already be included on the price of those booths in the booth selection module, which you will see later in the tutorial video. All right, so what everyone has been waiting for. So moving on to our updated booth options, prices, and selection process. We want to go over what is now available at our shows and some important things to note regarding booths. So this is a very important part where some of the major changes have occurred. So as briefly mentioned a few slides ago, vendors whose applications have been approved will now select their own booth space. This is really exciting change for us and hopefully you guys as well. As event staff will no longer be pre-assigning booth spaces. So you will know where you're at and what you have chosen as soon as you check out. Later, we will show what that process looks like in the tutorial video, but we do want to highlight and kind of go through each booth type that is available. So in this chart, we have what events the booth type is available at, the booth size, the selling size of the booth, and the price. So first we have a 10-foot by 10-foot standard booth with one selling side. As you will see up here in the chart, hopefully you can see my little arrow guy. This booth type is available at all of our events and is $90. And you'll also notice that these are color coded with the chart up here. If you have trouble viewing this, let us know at a later time and we can kind of help walk you through that if necessary. But next we have a 10 by 10 foot corner deluxe booth with two selling sides. So that is this booth option right here. That is also available at all of our events and is $140. The last 10 by 10 foot booth type we have is the standalone booth with 3 selling sides. So you'll see that over here. This booth type is available at our spring, autumn, and holiday events, but not our Summerfest event due to layout. This booth is $190. And then before we move on to the 10 by 20 booths, please note that those are only available at our Holiday Extravaganza event. And previously, vendors would have to reserve 2 10 by 10 booths to make a 10 by 20, but we have changed it so that you are just purchasing a 10 by 20 or a 10 by 10. So our first 10-foot by 20-foot booth type is the standard with 1 selling side, which you will see up here, and that is $180. Next, we have a 10 by 20 corner deluxe booth, which is $290. You'll see that up here in pink. And then finally, we have a 10-foot by 20-foot triple deluxe with 3 selling sides, which is $340. So you'll see that one on the end. And also note that this demonstrative layout is not what every row in our craft artisan fairs will look like. This is just kind of to help you see how they look next to each other and what's available. So some important things to note over here on the side is that vendors may only purchase 1 designated booth space per event. So you can only purchase 1 10 by 10 or 1 10 by 20 space at the events that they are available at. Vendors may not share their booth space with another vendor. The prices listed on this slide do not include the $10 electricity fee as previously mentioned. Booths with electricity access will have this fee added to their cost on the booth selection map, so you do not have to do anything to add that cost to your booth. And then once you select your booth space, you will not be able to move spaces unless approved by staff. So make sure it's the booth that you really want. And then if your application is approved and any vendors with similar products have already chosen a booth, we will email you their booth location only, no information about them or anything, but so that you can select a space away from the one that they have chosen to try to avoid people with similar products being placed next to each other. And the last thing is that cancellations are non-refundable. And this is since we started accepting applications for each event only 7 weeks out. We are trying to avoid short notice cancellations, which we have found is a market standard practice among other artisan type events to not offer cancellations. But we hope that you'll kind of know your schedule for the year or for the season and that you can hopefully join us. All right, so next we have some kind of miscellaneous things that I didn't think needed their own slide, but couldn't find a place for. So I put them all on one slide. Hope that's okay with you all. But we're gonna start with food vendors. So first we wanted to clarify that food vendors are food trucks or concession vendors who are selling ready-to-eat meals, snacks, and drinks. Vendors who are selling non-ready-to-eat food items such as baking mixes, baked, canned, or dried goods, etc., other food options should apply as a regular artisan vendor. So food vendors will use the same application as artisan vendors for each event and will be reviewed like all other applicants. The biggest difference with food vendors is that you will not be able to select your booth space, and spots at each event are first come, first served and may depend on your truck or trailer size, and the product type that you have. There are some events that we will have food vendors and artisans with food products, so both options. And some where we will only be having artisans with food items, as previously mentioned, the baked, canned, dried goods. This year, the only events that we'll have food vendors at will be Summerfest and the Autumn Harvest Festival. So food trucks will only be at Summerfest and Autumn Harvest Fest. But there is a concession stand available at the Holiday Extravaganza facility. But vendors should generally plan accordingly for meals for their time at our shows and what their needs are. For ADA requests, please know that all of our shows are held in facilities that are fully ADA compliant. All of our booths are considered ADA accessible, and vendors should choose the booth that best suits their needs. So we hope that we've given you enough information on our booth map and today at this session to be knowledgeable about what booth might work best for you. Any other accommodation requests should be emailed to prspecialevents@lawrenceks.org. And that email is many times throughout this presentation, the tutorial video, and on our website. So hopefully you can reach out to us if you have any questions or additional needs that have special requests. So then regarding commercial vendors, our shows will now have a limited number of commercial booth spaces, which is to help us move towards a more handmade product show. Commercial vendors will use the same application and review process as all of the other vendors. And like Abby previously mentioned, this is due to feedback that we received from all of our vendors, customers, internal review, things like that. So we are excited for where our shows are going. And then a couple notes on our setup and tear down. Sorry, getting my notes ready here. So setup will remain similar to recent events with the utilization of assigned unloading zones. We found that to be very effective. Depending on the show size, vendors may be assigned a time that they can check in to their unloading zone, which is a new feature of our setup and tear down process. Vendors will be allotted 1 hour to tear down and pack up their booths, with the exception of the Holiday Extravaganza, because we all know that's a massive show. So we will allow 2 hours for tear down and pack up for that show. Holiday Extravaganza will also utilize a ticket system for those who wish to pull their cars around the building to load up. So you will pack up your booth, a staff member will come and approve you and give you a ticket. You can then go to your car, pull your car around, and load your booth and your booth items into your car from there. All vendors for each event will receive informational emails leading up to the event with full event information and details. So no worries, you should be receiving all the information you need. But again, if you ever have additional questions, let us know. And then finally, we just want to highlight that any past participation or legacy in Parks, Recreation, and Culture Department events is appreciated, and we love all of our past vendors, but it does not guarantee acceptance into future events. So in addition, acceptance into one event does not guarantee acceptance into other events. So again, you have to apply to each event and get accepted to each event separately. All right. Yes, I believe this is also what everyone is waiting for. This is what I'm waiting for to show you all. We've been working really hard to kind of update the process of how vendors apply, get accepted, and choose their own booth space. So our online module, which is the same like program that we've been using called RecTrack. So a lot of you may have accounts in RecTrack already with us. So your account stays the same, but this video will just highlight how you apply and select your booth should you be accepted into our show. So hopefully the sound works. That is what I'm most nervous about. So let's see if that works, and you all can let me know if the sound does not work. This is about a 9-minute video, so I'm just gonna sit back, let you all watch this video, and then again, this video will be available after this presentation as well.
Hi, are you
Oh.
interested?
It does automatically start, so sorry about that. I'm gonna restart it and make the screen big for y'all. Abby, is the sound okay? Okay, perfect. All right, sit back and enjoy.
Hi, are you interested in being a vendor at a Lawrence Parks, Recreation, and Culture Artisan Fair, but you're wondering where to start? Well, you're in the right place. In this video, I'll walk you through the vendor application and booth selection process so that you're in the know.
Hey, Emma, I think you need to unmute so the sound will keep going. I just unmute.
Oh, did we miss some of that?
Yeah, I think when you muted, it stopped playing the sound.
Gotcha. Okay, let me go back a little bit. Sorry about that, y'all. I really thought I had it down. Okay, we'll start from about here. How's that?
Find our webpage by searching for lprd.org. Click on the result that says Parks, Recreation, and Culture. This will take you to our main page where you will scroll down to the Special Events section and click on Artisan Fairs. Once you reach the Artisan Fairs page, take some time to look at the information for each of our events. At the bottom of this page, you will find the Vendor Resources section, which contains our rules and regulations and vendor FAQ, links to watch our recorded info sessions, and this enrollment how-to video. You will also find our contact information at the bottom of the page. Feel free to reach out to us with any questions you may have. Once you're ready to apply, scroll back up to the event you would like to submit an application for and click on either the hyperlinked word Open or the Apply Here bullet point. Both will take you to our activity registration webpage. When you have reached this page, the first thing you should do is either log into your already existing account here or create an account with us here. If you already have an account with us, or once you create your account, type in your username and password to log in. Once you have successfully logged in, find the event you are looking for by either typing in the activity number, which is on the event graphic on the Artisan Fairs webpage, or by typing in the name of the event into the keyword search box. The event you are looking for will pop up. Click on the event, check the box to the left of the activity number, and then click the Add to Cart button. Adding this to your cart will prompt the application questions to come up. Make sure that you fill out the application as thoroughly as possible, and please note that the questions in red with an asterisk by them are required to be filled out to submit the application.
Emma, there's no sound again.
You do not.
Oh. Can you guys hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay.
It just cut off.
It might have because of it was playing music. It might have stopped. Might have blocked the music sound. Let's see if you guys can hear the rest of this.
Have to provide your Facebook,
Yeah?
Instagram, website, or Etsy page links. And if you don't have those, it's okay. But if you do, they are helpful to have when the administrative review team is looking at your application.
Somehow it muted again.
There's music in this section as well. So if it mutes, it's probably because there's music. Otherwise, it'll probably continue. Yeah. Sorry about that. I didn't realize it would block the music out. But it's just music. You're not missing anything good.
Make sure you read and agree to the waiver before continuing. Once you are done filling out the application, proceed to the checkout page to pay the $10 non-refundable application fee and to verify your billing information. Click Continue to submit your payment info on the next page. Once you have submitted your payment info and the page has indicated a successful transaction, you will receive an email with your receipt. If you would like to use a payment method other than a card, please contact us at prspecialevents@lawrenceks.org for assistance. You should receive an email with your receipt a few minutes after submitting your payment information. Save the attached PDF receipt for your records. After you submit your application, the administrative review team will review your application and make a decision on your acceptance status as soon as possible. Once the administrative review team has made a decision on your application acceptance status, You will receive an email with your status from a member of the review team, so be sure to check your email regularly. If you receive an email saying that your application was not accepted, be sure to read the email for next steps and further options, and feel free to contact us with any questions. If you receive an email that your application was accepted, congratulations. Start by reading the entire email to make sure you don't miss any important information. If a similar vendor is already approved for this event, we'll inform you of their booth number so you can select a different location, ensuring a balanced distribution of similar products throughout the show. After you have read the email, click the link which will redirect you to choose your booth space. Once you get to this page, select Sign in the top left corner of the page. You will need to log into your account again using your username and password. Then you should click the Search button in the top menu selection bar and click Event Search under the Events section. Once the page loads, you should find the Artisan Fair event you are looking for and click the blue ticket icon in the lower left-hand corner of that event box. This will take you to the event booth map. Before selecting your booth space, scroll down and read the information pertaining to that event. This will include the types of booths available at this event, the price for each booth type, and information on which booths have access to electricity. Once you are ready to select your booth, check out the booth map to see which booths are available. On this map, currently all of the booths are available, but that may not always be the case. Booths that are already taken will be indicated with a red circle instead of a green one. When you click on a booth to select it, the circle will turn yellow. If that is the booth you would like to reserve, click the Add to Cart button. If you change your mind and would like to reserve a different booth, simply unclick the yellow circle and click on the booth that you would like and add it to your cart.
Music.
On the next page, verify that the price is correct and click Proceed to Checkout. On this page, once again, verify that your billing information is correct and then click Continue to proceed to payment. Make sure you continue to payment and follow the steps until your payment has been received. Then, check your email for your receipt. Remember, once you pay for your booth, you cannot switch booth spaces or purchase another booth space. Booth spaces are first come, first served, so reserve your booth ASAP. If you would like to use a payment method other than a card, please contact us with your desired booth number so that we can process your purchase. Once your payment has been submitted, check your email for a receipt of your purchase. Please review and save all 3 PDF attachments that are in the receipt email. The PDFs attached to the email are your receipt, a ticket, and a vendor letter and event flyer. This is what your receipt will look like. Make sure to bring your receipt to check in to the event. Be aware that there are scammers that will try to sell fake booth spaces for our events. Having this receipt will help us verify that you have purchased a real booth space. This is what your ticket for the event will look like. Make sure you save this document and bring it with you as well so that we can verify your booth number at check-in. Finally, this is what the vendor letter and event flyer will look like. You don't need to print this or bring it with you to the event, but please make sure you read the vendor letter so that you have all of the information that you need. Feel free to print the event flyer and display it or share with friends, family, and customers to promote your attendance at the event. Once you have downloaded the attached documents, you're good to go. After you have applied, been accepted, and have selected and purchased your booth, keep an eye on your email about 2 weeks out from each event for important event information. Thank you for watching this video, and we look forward to our 2025 Artisan Fair season. If you have questions or need help with this process, please contact us at prspecialevents@lawrenceks.org.
All right. So that was our tutorial video for applying and selecting your booth. Obviously, it was a little bit quicker than that process will be in real life. But again, we're here for you all along the way. If you have any questions, we know that things might be bumpy at first since this is a new process, but we appreciate your patience in advance, and we'll work to make sure everything is up and running. So now I think we have reached our uh, frequently asked questions and question section. So thank you all again for watching this video with us. And now we look forward to answering any questions that you all may have for us about this presentation. I also want to note that before we take questions, we have developed a thorough frequently asked questions document that, like we mentioned before, will be shared following this presentation and is linked on our special events page as well. So if you find yourself thinking, oh my gosh, I know I heard that somewhere, check that document. It might, your question might be answered through that. And we'll continue to update that document as well when we get really good questions that we know other people will want the answers to. And again, of course, we just really want to reiterate that we are here to answer all the questions you guys may have. So for this, we are going to utilize the hand raise function. If everybody is familiar with that, so you can click on the React button in the Zoom toolbar and select the raise hand to indicate that you have a question. And Abby and Porter and I are all going to help with questions here. So let me stop sharing just so I can also see everybody's. Oh, I guess I did it. I don't know. Okay. So did I stop sharing? Can everyone see? Oh, no, I still am sharing. Let me stop doing that. Okay, cool. The first question I see is Jenny Gossel.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi, well, first I just wanted to say thank you for this presentation and for all of the work that you guys are putting into these events. I was at the Holiday Extravaganza event and was really impressed with the level of organization. It was a great event for me. I just really enjoyed it and appreciate the level of communication. I had a lot of questions, there were a lot of steps, but it just felt like at every step there was the information that I needed. I was like, okay, I'll just take one more step. So I just appreciate you guys putting so much effort into these events. It's really helpful for those of us who like to sell directly to people locally, and I just really appreciate it. I was just curious, since I've only been to the Holiday Extravaganza, I wonder if you have estimates for how many people usually come to the events in the other seasons. I was just curious what kind of turnout you usually expect for the spring, summer, and fall events.
Yeah. Are you meaning like, first of all, thank you for your kind words. We all appreciate that. And then are you meaning like vendors that are accepted or customers that are coming to these
Customers.
customers? Yeah. Let me think. I was not at the most recent spring one. So Abby, do you maybe have a better idea?
Yeah, I can take this.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So we are definitely still building these events back up from COVID. So that being said, the events before COVID have been bringing in multiple hundreds of people. And of course, that is our goal to reach those pre-COVID numbers. But we haven't necessarily reached pre-COVID numbers yet. I would say it also is dependent on the weather. The spring show is indoors, so we don't have to really worry about weather affecting the setup of the show. But definitely, I think if it's rainy, people are just not as likely to come out. And I would say, I mean, we probably saw 100, 200 people come through that one. And then Summerfest is part of a much larger event. It's our Independence Day celebration for the city. So that one we're seeing a good deal more people. I don't have a specific number since this last year was the first time we'd ever done it. So we're still gathering data from that one, but that event has brought in thousands of people. So that show we're expecting to do very well. It was lovely this last year, and it was a delight. So I have high hopes for that one. Autumn is our only outdoor show, so that one is again dependent on the weather. Although I think we saw a couple hundred people at that one last year. And then the extravaganza is our super big, most well-attended show, and that one is again a couple of hundred people. So we're still gathering data from shows that we've done. This will only be my second year doing them. We kind of took over for Dwayne, who a lot of you know. He'd been doing it for a long, long time, and so we are stepping into some big shoes to fill and are rebuilding these events again post-COVID. So we're hoping to continually grow them.
I'm going
That's
to
a
add
big enough.
quickly. So we work very closely with Explore Lawrence, our local Convention and Visitors Bureau. They actually have new software where they can measure attendance at events much more accurately than we've ever been able to before. So we actually are working on this. It's a great question. And so we plan to glean as much of that data as we can. And as Abby said, we're still working on gathering that data, but as soon as we get it, we'll share it.
That answer your question, Jenny?
Yeah, it does.
Awesome. Thank you. Next, I saw Dell, I believe.
Hello. Thank you again for today. This was really helpful information. I'm getting over a cold, so I sound a bit funny.
That's okay.
So like Jenny, we participated for the first time in the Lawrence Park's Holiday Extravaganza event. And we noticed that a lot of the booths are like just, I was looking at your map, so like the 10 by 10 space. And a lot of people just put a table across the front. Are you, or is it allowed to do the U shape? I've never seen that done at the markets I've been to. I've always seen it's just like a single table at the front of their space. Is it okay to do a U shape
Yeah,
with our
so
tables?
our mindset is that we are renting you all the space and that you can do whatever you want with it after that. As
Okay.
long as you're within the space that you purchased, whether that's the 10 by 10 or the 10 by 20, yeah, you can do whatever setup you want. So we have so many people that do like to just do the one booth or one table in the front, the U shape, an L shape, if you will. If you've purchased two booths on the end, some people kind of do an outside U shape on
Mm,
that triple deluxe booth on the end where they do multiple tables on the outside. So
right.
really, it just depends on kind of what your business needs and what works for you.
Oh,
And
wonderful. That's it. Thank you.
yeah, you're welcome. Next, I see Heather.
Oh, hi.
Hello.
Hi, this is actually Heather's mom.
Oh, okay, sweet. No
But
worries at all.
I help Heather, but I had a question about choosing a booth with electricity. Can we choose a booth with electricity even though we don't want to pay for the electricity?
So the way that our system is set up is we had to pre-assign the price of each booth based on like the way our backside module is set up. You have to, each booth has its own like row essentially, and then that is assigned a price. So the ones that have electricity, do already have that $10 built in, and we would have to change like the entire price of all of those the same types of booths to change that price. So unfortunately, no, they do already have that $10 built in, and we can't take that $10 off even if you don't use the electricity. So yeah, sorry about that. Hopefully that answered your question.
I do
Yes,
think
and also with the booth, if you have an underwhelming application number, will you redo the booth choices?
Like
In
if
other
we
words,
don't,
if you are selling 150 booths, but you only have 100 applications, we've already chosen our booth, do you have to refigure where the booths are going to be placed?
yeah, that's a good question. Abby might have more
Mhm.
insight into this.
Yeah.
Yeah, you want to take this one, Abby? Because I'm not
Sure.
sure
Yeah.
exactly how we would handle that. Good
Sure.
question.
That technically would be our procedure, although we frequently are waitlisted for events. I don't think we had to do that once this last year. We've been waitlisted for every event, and are considering, how do we make these events bigger more than, how do we condense to a smaller space? So not a problem that I really foresee for us, but that you're correct, we would have to reconfigure the the layout of the event. And if we, do need to do that, we'll of course let you guys know and update our procedure so that it's fair and equitable and everybody is serviced to the best of our ability. But yeah, again, I don't really see that as an issue for us, knock on wood, right?
Okay, and just one last comment. We participated in the Holiday Extravaganza. I believe it was our third time, maybe possibly fourth. but we felt that it had overgrown with vendors. There were too many vendors as opposed to buyers. Is that something, and maybe a lot of duplicate vendors? Is that something that you also saw, that you might want to backscale on the number of vendors at that event?
Yeah, I that's a good observation. And I think that us moving to the application process and like acceptance versus just everyone being able to register and attend is kind of why we did that, because we also noticed that there were lots of duplicate people, similar products. People were getting upset that, you know, this person is selling literally almost the exact same thing that I am. And while they're both great products, you know, how does each person make a good amount of sales with that? And we also noticed a lot of vendors who may have just purchased already pre-made items and are trying to resell them, or more of those commercial vendors who are selling maybe not items and maybe selling like a subscription to something or something else. So our hope with the application process is that we can really comb through that beforehand so that it is better on the back end. Abby, Porter, anything to add to that?
Yeah, you hit it, Emma. Yep. Part of what you're saying is how is factored into our decision to update the policy, kind of coming from not having a very detailed policy to, you know, really getting to identify what we want in these shows. How does that benefit our vendors? How does that benefit the attendance to the show? You know, it can be tiresome to see a lot of the same thing. And so having you guys go through that extra step will help us curate the shows a little bit better. So yeah, good observation.
Okay, I
Yeah,
appreciate you addressing that problem, also the number of vendors was a little high, but thank you.
sure. Thank you so much, Heather. Next, I see Ken. You there, Ken? Oh,
Yeah, I'm here. I'm trying to. Okay, there. Yeah, I'm muted.
good.
In
No
the
worries.
past, we've had multiple items from quilting to crochet work to handmade, glass-made, woodworking, and I've also sold homemade candies. Is this type of a booth application process still under the normal, or with the candies, does that move it into a food item?
That is a good question. I'm gonna give my thoughts, and then Abby and Porter can also share their thoughts if they're not the same. And I see Roger's back on too, so he can help us answer some of these questions. We haven't really establish like what that looks like 100% yet on our end. I think if you have a majority of other items other than food, that you would select maybe on your application the category that represents like the most of what items, or if you kind of have an even amount, you can just select one, or you could select other and list all of those for us. And so I think that would be okay, but you would be, even if it's homemade candies, you'd still be considered an artisan vendor and not a food vendor. So I think you'll be okay. Just you'll like to have
Okay.
a regular booth and stuff like that.
Okay.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
totally agree. I think, yeah, you'd be fine with that. If you're not serving to have people eat it immediately, then you're not a concessionary, you're a regular vendor. So the process would be the same.
And I think we
Okay.
understand too that people, like even myself, I purchased a loaf of sourdough at the Holiday Extravaganza, and I immediately took a bite of it because it looked delicious. And so we understand people are opening things like that and eating them. But it is more of a difference of like, are you being served a plate of like hot nachos from a food vendor versus a bagged or pre-made, pre-packaged food item. So yeah, I think your candies will be okay. Does that answer your question?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
You're welcome. Next, I see Tamala Kerwin.
Hello.
Hi.
I appreciate everything you guys have done. I did the extravaganza for years and years. So I appreciate all your hard work and keeping it going for us. I have two questions. The show layouts, is there any way we could see the layout ahead of time on a page? So like, instead of being in the process of having to pick a booth space, let us see what it looks like ahead of time so we can kind of have an idea what it's going to look like. I mean, where they're going to be. And my other thought was I'd like to also know if they're going to be an inside event or an outside event. Because there's some other ones that I would like to attend, but I cannot do the outsides.
Sure, yeah, both good things. Your first question about the booth layouts, I don't think we have anything currently established for that, but that is something we'll consider on our end. We would definitely need to discuss that as a team just to make sure we feel comfortable with what that looks like first. But we can certainly consider that, and we'll have to, I can make a mental note that you asked that question, and when we make a decision on that, I can send you some communications on that later. And Abby and Porter and Roger can chime in too if they have another thought. And then your second question, we certainly can indicate which shows are outside. Right now, to indicate it to you, the Autumn Harvest Festival is our only show that is outside, held fully outside. But we will, that's a good point. We'll go back and add that to our event flyers on our website just to make sure it's under the description or something like that. But all of our other shows are inside. But yes, we will add that. Thank you for that.
I have also one more comment.
Oh, sure.
I don't live there, so I come in from out of town. So like, I don't know what the layout is at the Holcomb Center or the Douglas County Fairground building, or so that's why it's important for me to see or I need a visual
Yeah, sure.
to see how those are set up and how I can make that work for me.
Yeah, it's a good point. Emma and Abby, I'm thinking that we could, I don't know, Tamla, if you're looking for a exacting level of detail, but we have maps from previous years that certainly show the general layout. And as long as we're basically sticking to that, we could certainly adapt those just to show a basic footprint of how we're using the space.
Anything would be welcomed.
Okay.
Awesome. Thank you for that
All right.
feedback.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right. Next, I see Rhonda, and then I see a couple questions in the chat we can get to after Rhonda.
Hi, my name is Rhonda Burns. I'm with Quilting in Kansas. Thank you for your presentation today. I was at the extravaganza 2 years ago. It was my first time there. I saw that several people had actually either put up their tents or had put up their tent frames inside. That would be very helpful for me because then I can hang my quilts so people can actually see them instead of being on a table. I just want to make sure, is that going forward? Is that still going to be possible?
Yeah, Abby, do you mind taking this one?
Of course. Sure. We do have statements in our new policy that you guys will be able to read about the height of items in your booth. We don't really want those to be higher than 5 feet, but we in our previous shows, we have allowed people to have the scaffolding of their tent, just not with anything covering it. And we are going to be making a determination on that because I do think we want to make sure that we're not impeding anybody's line of sight. But it does kind of depend on the layout of each show and like where your booth is located. If you're along a wall, it's not necessarily as big of a deal as if you're in the direct center of the show. So with that being said, there is a question on the application that requests a picture of kind of your booth setup. If you include what you're intending with any kind of signage or the scaffolding of your tent, if you include that in the picture, we'll be able to get a really good, clear idea of what you're going for, and we'll be able to make a decision on that. But yeah, that's something that we can talk about more as a team as to whether or not the scaffolding of a tent, if it's higher than 5 feet, what we're going to do about that. But does that help?
Well, it does. It's kind of, that means you're still kind of in the air about it. But perhaps if I chose a wall side, I could put because my quilts would be my tent can be set at like 8 foot or 10 foot. And I do
Mhm.
hang them from around the sides. That's how I display them usually. So that would be higher than 5 foot.
Right. Yeah, that's something I think we're going to have to talk about explicitly, because we do have that in the policy where anything above 5 feet is not usually going to be accepted. But again, this is the first year of a policy, and so we will, be taking feedback into account. So thank you for that question, and we can make a note of that and get back with you about it.
Okay, I really appreciate that. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. Does anyone else have a question they want to ask here? Otherwise, I've received, I think, some direct message questions that I think would be helpful for a lot of people, like everyone to hear, that I can read and we can answer. I know we're at 3 o'clock, so if you need to hop off, no worries. We appreciate you guys coming, but we'll answer these as quickly as we can, just to make sure they're on the recording and that anyone can watch them afterwards as well. Okay, so the first thing, is there a specific time of day when event applications will become available? Not necessarily. Probably, I don't think we've established anything 100% yet. We will probably just make it live typically at like 8 a.m. maybe on the day of. That's when most of us get into the office. So that's probably what we will plan on, so that if there are issues, we can fix it immediately and make sure we're there. Thank you for that question. Someone else said August 8th is the first day for applications. August 8th is the first day for applications for the Autumn Harvest and the Holiday Extravaganza show. Yes. The other Spring Artisan Fair applications open on March 14th, which is coming up here. And Summerfest applications open May 14th. So thank you for that question. Next question is, how did you determine the price for the booths? Roger or Porter, would one of you mind discussing this really quickly?
I can speak to it too.
Sure, right. I mean, yeah, I'm like,
Yeah.
hmm.
We did a bunch of market research to try to figure out what competitive pricing looks like. And, specifically places like Overland Park and other places in Kansas City do charge per selling side. And so we do understand booths that, there is intrinsic value to certain types of booth configurations. And so updating our policy to reflect that helps us to make sure, it helps to ensure equity in some ways. It's like if somebody has a booth that has so much more selling area than another booth, that really kind of is an advantage. And so being able to quantify that in some way, that's sort of how we went about that. And also the prices are reflective of sort of the market standard at this point. So I hope that answers that question.
And I would also add too, with basically the legacy that was here, that people were wanting a specific booth. We couldn't guarantee that because a lot of that stuff went away with the person that was heading it up. And so we don't have some of that data. And I always felt bad about people wanting a specific booth, and I couldn't provide it for them because I didn't know exactly how it was placed. So that's one of the reasons why I really moved to the select the booth concept. And then, as Abby said, we wanted to make sure there was equity among those people with the booths and selling their wares, so to speak. So
Sure. Thanks, guys. The next question is, during the application process, do we make requested booth selection, or like requested booth spaces, or does that step come after, if and when we are approved? So there's no place on the application to request a booth space. So when you're accepted, when and if you are accepted to each show, that is when you will be able to go in and select your booth space. And so it's important to get your application in as soon as possible, because we review them based on when they come in, and then you will have access to more booth options since you'll be sooner accepted after that. So if we do decide to put up booth map layouts, that will be helpful. You can go check those and see, kind of get an idea of where you might want to be. Hopefully that answered that question. The The next question was, or the next comment, Holiday Extravaganza, have we considered being able to open load in earlier in the afternoon if the facility could be open for us starting at noon, 2 p.m., 3 p.m.? It would help spread vendors out and there wouldn't be incredibly long line at 5 p.m. to get around the back of the building. That is a good comment / question. We definitely are working right now, even though it's only February, to like consider how that event went this past year and make changes for that. So that's definitely something we're considering because we know that line was super long. So more details to come on that later. Definitely look out on if you get accepted to that show, look out for information 2 weeks beforehand for how that will work. But likely we will try to give as much time as possible to vendors to set up. And Abby, Roger Porter, chime in at any moment. I'm just running through these so I don't
Go
keep
for it.
people too long. And next question, are you restricting number of out-of-town vendors? At this time, we are not. We are mostly focused on the kinds of products that you have, and are they handmade, handcrafted? How are they made? What kinds of materials are you using? Things like that. So no, we are welcoming any and all vendors that would like to apply to our shows. Next question, autumn show, what happens if there's bad weather? Last year we held the like rain or shine policy, which I believe we will stick to again. If it's like super, super bad weather, we may decide to cancel the show if it is not like feasible to have it at all in the park. But we'll definitely keep vendors updated as much as we can for that. But hopefully with being in September, it'll be a little bit warmer, not rainy yet. So we're crossing our fingers. Next question, will there be an improved process for lining up cars unloading at the Holiday Extravaganza? Car lineups were coming from multiple directions. Yes, that's another thing we're working on, evaluating, improving. We will most likely stick with the one way around the building like we did this year, but we'll definitely have more signage, more communication beforehand about where the line starts, and getting people checked in earlier. And then again, hopefully being able to open up a little bit earlier for vendors to come as well. So we will keep you updated on that too if you are part of that show. Next question, will plastic bags still be allowed? We did write this into our policy because we are aware that Lawrence has an ordinance on this. I believe our policy says something along the lines of do the best you can. We have an ordinance for a reason. So we're really encouraging sustainable practices like paper bags or reusable bags, things like that. But do the best you can. We totally understand there's lots of different barriers that may occur with not being able to access other kinds of bags or things like that. But yeah, so we're not going to kick you out if you have plastic bags. And then next, most grid walls are 6 feet. Would you consider moving the height restrictions to 6 feet instead of 5 feet? That is a good point to bring up. We will definitely discuss that as a group and make that adjustment if we find necessary. And again, we are gonna continue to adjust these policies as needed, make adjustments. It's a living document to us. So we appreciate all feedback about those things. We will look into that.
Emma, I'm going to jump in there too. And just the rationale behind the height limit is if you think about looking across a field of different vendors and things, the higher people ratchet up, the more visibility is blocked. And so hopefully people understand we're not just being arbitrary, we're trying to give as much leeway as we can, but also maintain a fairly visually open space so everybody can see what's available. So that's the balance that we're trying to achieve.
Yeah, good point, Porter. Thank you. And we got another comment about that under that last question. So thank you again for that feedback. We will continue to discuss that. Someone asked, Holiday Extravaganza show, there's a ticket to get to the back of the building to load, correct? How and when do we get this ticket? So we'll have staff members at the end of the show, like the 4 p.m. when the show ends, you will be able to start packing up your booth space. And as soon as you have your booth space packed up, we'll have a lot of staff members walking around. You can flag one of them down, and they will just have pieces of paper that will indicate to the people up front that you've been approved by the inside staff to load your car around. And this is again to prevent people from pulling their car around, and they pull their car around back, and then they don't have anything in their booth torn down, so they go back inside, they tear everything down. They're parked back behind our building for a long time, preventing other people from who are actually ready to go from loading up their cars. So we are still fine tuning that process, but there'll be some kind of physical ticket you're given and can show someone up front who will then let you around the back. So you'll get that ticket at the end of the show. And then for the Holiday Extravaganza show, what do you think will be the approximate wait from application submission to application acceptance, to which impacts booth selection request? That is a good question as well. We will, since that one opens August 8th, if we receive applications starting August 8th, August 9th, like that week, we will start reviewing them as soon as we can. As soon as our review team, or as much as our review team can handle at one time. We expect a large influx. So again, we will just go from when those are submitted in the order of are submitted, and we'll just try to work through those as much as possible. So we're hoping anywhere from 1 to 2 weeks from application submission, but with that show, we do ask for a little bit more wiggle room and patience as we try to work through those.
And as Emma said, I'll just add that even though we won't be looking at applications literally in real time, when we do look at them, we will review them in the order that they were submitted. So, you know, submitting your application as soon as possible is still valuable, you know, and we'll be admitting, we'll reach out to you when we do, but, you know, you will be reviewed ahead of those who apply after you, if that makes sense. So even though it's not real time, the order still does matter.
Thank you for that, Abby. And I only see one more question. The others are comments more about the wall, or thank you for the loading ticket. So our team will review those after. Thank you all for those comments. The last question I see is, do we have an estimate on what customer count is on the other shows? Understanding weather may impact outdoor shows. I think Abby covered that before. Do you mind just reviewing that again, Abby?
Yeah, so I only have 2 years of data, and so I can tell you it's between, you know, 1 and 300 people for, you know, our smaller events, which are the spring and the fall. Although the spring is our smallest event, and then Summerfest is bigger, but that's because it's part of a larger event itself. So the cross traffic of the event. We have live music, we've got food trucks, kids activities. So that show is going to be bigger, even though it's a smaller show itself. So that one, I mean, Summerfest, we've had thousands of people come to that one. So again, I don't have the exact numbers for the Summerfest craft show since we've only done that once. But just based on being in there, there's definitely, you know, a comparable kind of crowd size to what we're usually seeing, which again is between like 1 and 300 people. And for the outdoor show, yeah, it's totally kind of dependent on the weather. It is kind of during the fall at peak leaf time. So, you know, if the weather holds out for us, we're seeing those numbers too. So we hope to have more data on that in the coming years. But that's kind of what I got so far. Oh, and Extravaganza is definitely more than that. I'm not exactly sure how to quantify it, but yeah, it's a couple hundred people.
Yeah, thank you. That is all of the questions I see in the chat. I don't see any more hands raised, and I see it's almost 3:15. So I think we'll go ahead and wrap there. But thank you all for your kind words on how you appreciate us. We appreciate you guys in the same breath. So thank you for that. And if there's nothing else, we'll stop this. And again, to reiterate, we will send this out to all of you after. It'll be posted on our website. So go check it out there, and we look forward to a great year. All right.
Thank you all.
Thank you all.
Thanks.
Bye.